Hello my friends and welcome back. Sorry I was MIA all summer. I had intentions to have a series here sharing tons of resources this summer, and I don't know what happened. Time disappeared through the summer. I had all these plans for myself, even personally, things I wanted to read and study, and I thought I would be gaining so many hours in my day with us being off of homeschooling. I lost time. I don't know what happened, but I'm here today. I want to talk about our homeschool plans for this next year, specifically my oldest, who will be in 10th grade. And then I will come back and I will share what my 7th grader will be doing, and then we'll see from there where things go. We are doing things a little different this year. We're setting things up differently. I mentioned a few videos ago here that Heather was really inspiring me, and so we are taking some notes from Heather, doing a little bit Charlotte Mason kind of thing. So we are really focusing on reading, writing, arithmetic type stuff. We're going to be extra literature based this year. I feel like I've always wanted to be, but I don't know if the execution has always worked out as well as I'm hoping this year does. Every year, you just hope like, okay, this is the year I have things kind of ironed out, and we will see. So I have my computer here with my list of subjects and things that my oldest is going to be doing. I'm going to give a bit of an overview of the year, but I'm specifically going to be sharing things that are for either the whole year or term 1, because things are going to change a little bit. We're going to do 3 different terms this year, and the main thing that's going to change is our history time period, which will also change our reads and different things, and it will also change our science. So in term 1, we're going to be studying 1900 to 1920 or so, and so I'm going to kind of be focusing on that, plus all the other subjects. I've got lots of books, really. I was going to say books and resources, but like they're all books. And another thing that we're doing this year is I'm doing everything time-based. We've never done this before. I think it will be really helpful for my 7th grader who was diagnosed with ADHD, not to be like, okay, you have to finish this chapter, but instead just spend 15 minutes. I think that might be helpful. I thought I would try it with my 10th grader as well. We're trying to do about 4 hours of school for her in the morning, and her afternoons can be free. She still really enjoys writing. She wants to publish another book this year. So she's going to be doing educational stuff in the afternoons, but it's on her own time, kind of led by herself kind of thing. Any other things I need to explain before I go into it all? I don't think so. I think we can just dive in. So my first subject is Bible and spiritual growth. And I honestly don't have that much in here for my 10th grader because she does a lot of this herself. I had made a list of books, and then this summer she read a bunch of them. She watches Gavin Ortland and Wes Huff on YouTube, like for fun. She listens to podcasts. She does her Bible reading herself. So I don't have a whole lot here. She is currently finishing up the Bible recap, which is a chronological read through of the Bible. And I have the Bible recap book that she's been going through. I think she has less than a month left of that. I did buy her a copy of Let's Read the Gospels, which I forgot to grab. It's in her room. And it goes through the Gospels. I think it's supposed to be in 30 days. I did it earlier this year. I think it took me like 90 days because it has a couple chapters to read through and then a bunch of questions. And I just wanted to take it nice and slow. So I think that's her plan after the Bible recap. So yeah, for the most part, she's reading the Bible every day, but I'm not really monitoring that. But I'm buying resources as needed. I want her to be reading at least 1 biography each term. So one thing I do want her to do is read from 70 great Christians. These are just like very short little biographies of people from Peter and Paul all the way up to Corrie ten Boom. She might be the latest one. Yeah, it goes right from the early church to the suffering of the 20th church. So there's a variety in here, and I think it's just a little good snippet of all of these people. A lot of them she's read more detailed biographies, probably like from the Christian Heroes, the YWAM series, but thought she could go through this. And then I think she's gonna read Kisses from Katie. I don't have a dust jacket on this book anymore because it's one that's been on my shelf for a while and she's talked about wanting to read. So I put this on her list for term 1. If you guys are at all interested in like the amount of time that we're doing for all of this, let me know. Maybe I could do a video about that later. I feel like we need to really try it. So I have times put down that we're going to be trying for these, but I feel like we've got to try it out to see, does this actually work? So I don't really want to share it all now and then come back and tell you, actually, that sucked. We didn't do that at all. But let me know if you'd be interested. She will also be doing some spiritual growth reading. This is the part where I feel like she's kind of taken all the books that I was going to get her to read and went and read them already. But I do have a few that I might get her to do, one of which is Pilgrim's Progress. I don't know if we're going to start that right away or not, but that's an option for this year. Next on my list here is history. So like I said, we're going to be doing 1900 to 1920, kind of like world history, but we're also going to be doing some Canadian history. So I want to show you the Canadian stuff, the specific Canadian stuff here first. I have this book of Canada 365, which every day tells a story. So every day has something that happened in history in Canada. And I've had this book for a number of years, and I think it's just the thing that I need to like actually just put out so that we can look at it. I also need to, because I don't know a whole lot about Canadian history, but it kind of highlights like a certain person or event, and then it has like some extras of things that happened as well. I found this at a thrift store years ago. So this will be kind of like a, 1 minute, 2 minute read at the beginning of the day. And then I do have this Great Canadian Speeches, which I had heard about this, I think from Ambleside. And then right after I saw that last summer, I found this in a thrift store. So I quickly grabbed it. And I think I'm just going to get her to read through. I think I have a time, that she's supposed to read. And so every time that comes up, she'll just work on reading through one of these speeches. The person that brought it to the thrift store, a couple of these are, they're not really annotated, but there's a speech by Pierre Trudeau, and it says good speech. And they read it in October of 2009, I think. So I've got that. Then world history is like a lot of our learning this year. As a spine, or I don't know if it's really a spine, but I have this Everything You Need to Ace World History in One Big Fat Notebook that we will use as a bit of a resource. By the way, I'm going to try to have all the books that I mentioned linked down below. If you missed something, it should be down below. So I want to use this a bit. And then, like I said, we're starting the first 20 years of the 20th century here. So we've got a lot of World War I is a big part of that. And I have the First World War in photographs. This is a lot of pictures and then, some pages with information as well. I think that, from what I've seen, none of the pictures are like overly gruesome. I'm just gonna flip through. Yeah, like I think it'd be fine for my kids to use this, and it makes everything kind of feel a little bit more real. And then I just barely got this book off of Book Outlet, The War to End All Wars, World War I by Russell Friedman. And it's also got a lot of photographs. It's set up in a similar way, but it, I think, has more information, is geared towards kids, and yeah, I think that will be another good one. I have quite a few good World War I books. I would like to find some like this for World War II. And then we've got some smaller books like A Poppy is to Remember, Remembering John McCrae, Vimy Ridge, that kind of thing. But the true bulk of our history this year is going to come from historical fiction, because I find that is how I learn the best, and I find my kids do as well. So I've been trying to proofread like mad, and I don't have all of the books ready, figured out yet, but one of the ones for sure that I want her to start with is Unsinkable by Jenny L. Walsh. This has to do with the Titanic and other boat sinkings, plus World War II, because we have two different characters, and one is a bit of a spy in World War II, and then one starts on the Titanic. So this goes perfectly with our time periods for this year, and so I want her to start with this one, and this is going to have a time link to it. Currently, my plan is this an everyday thing? I think it's like 30 minutes a day. Okay, I'm telling you one of my times. We'll see if it works out, to read a historical fiction. I don't know how many she's going to get through. This is the disadvantage of putting a time on it versus chapters. So I'm going to tell you what I'm currently thinking that she will be reading, but she might get to more, she might get to less. I'm not sure. So there's that one. The next one on my list, As Bright as Heaven by Susan Meisner. This is the Spanish flu. So we're set in 1918 in Philadelphia, and we follow, I think it's 3 girls. Their father is what is he? He like owns a funeral home. Is a mortician maybe. So we get like that look of the Spanish flu. Very interesting. I need to proofread Bluebird. If you guys have read this one, let me know. I believe it has to do quite a bit with the Canadian nursing. I actually have it on my cart here. Okay, it's Bluebird, and on the back here it says from the battlefields of World War I to Prohibition era Canada. So we're set in present day and 1918. I've heard, I think, some good things about it, but not enough, and it was so long ago that I feel like I need to read it and see. So this is a definite option if I read it and enjoy it. Then I heard about Switchboard Soldiers from Heather. That's an option. The L.M. Montgomery Anne series is an option. Yeah, so that's what I have for this first chunk. If you guys have good historical fiction books set in this time period, I would love to hear it. I would always love to add more in case she just devours all of them, which is a definite possibility with how much she's been reading lately. And then in addition, I do have some speeches from this time that I think I got these off of Ambleside's website that I would like her to read. Oh, I guess I forgot how I had this formatted. So 70 Great Christians is actually part of church history. So it's not part of the spiritual growth section. It's part of church history. Forgot how I had this laid out. And then we're also going to be doing current events. We are once again going to be watching World from A to Z is the plan, assuming that's still running. It's the YouTube channel that we've really enjoyed. It is not Christian based, but the host used to work for Sunlight Curriculum. So he does a really good job, I think, kind of keeping things quite neutral, but I don't feel like there's ever anything that comes up that's suspect or super biased. So we've been enjoying that. Next, my kids both wanted to learn a little bit of Greek mythology. So I found Favorite Greek Myths Retold by Mary Pope Osborne, the Magic Treehouse lady. I found this in a little free library. So we're going to read through this and then reevaluate. We've never done Greek mythology. They both enjoyed the Percy Jackson show. I think my son maybe read all of the books and my daughter maybe only read the first one. I'm not sure if this will continue. So right now my only plan is let's read the stories that are in here and then reevaluate. Okay, and then moving on to literature, English, that kind of thing. I've got a couple different things in this section. First of all, she's going to be reading a classic. The first one she decided to start with is Pride and Prejudice. We just watched the 2005 or whatever it is movie, and so now I think it'd be a good time for her to read it. She enjoyed it. I felt like I had to explain a little bit of the movie. If you're not super familiar with a Regency era, some things are assumed that you might know, that you might not, but she enjoyed it. And so she's going to read Pride and Prejudice. If she finishes this, I will pick another book for her. I have other options, but I'm going to start with this at least. We're also doing some poetry. She's going to be reading a poem for every day of the year. This one is Friends is the theme. I read this a number of years ago and really enjoyed it. Found quite a few poems that I liked. This is separated by day, which can be good. So I don't know if she will read it on the weekends as well. That's the only downside of these kinds of poems. Or she could just start at the beginning. Out of my anthologies, she picked this one. I do want her to pick a poet at some point, but at this point, I don't think we're going to do it for term 1. I think we're going to do that for term 2. So I'll talk more about that when I do a term 2 video. I also forgot to grab my Shakespeare. So many books are scattered throughout the house and throughout my room. So we're going to be doing a Shakespeare each term. First term is going to be Much Ado About Nothing. I also want to read this. That's why it's in my room, honestly. I was hoping to read it before her, but now I might just be reading it at the same rate as her. And then I came across You, the Story by Ruta Sepetys I found this on Book Outlet. And so this is a writer's guide to craft through memory. And because she enjoys writing so much, I thought she would also like this book. It's geared towards writers and telling your story, and I think just storytelling in general. And then she's also going to be having time for composition / essay writing. I'm not going to be getting her to do any creative writing for school because I feel like she gets so much of that on her own time. That's okay. But she might be doing some like narrations, lots of essay writing. She thinks she knows what she wants to do post-graduation, which is go to Bible school. So she really wants to focus on her essay writing. So we're going to be working on that quite a bit. I don't have specific resources quite yet for that. I'm hoping to find a few YouTube videos that explain different kinds of essays, and then I'm going to be giving her different essay prompts or letting her choose if she has ideas for prompts, and just practicing writing essays. One thing I forgot to mention is that she's also taking an online class, a Tolkien class, where she's reading The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings from now until Christmas. And she's already had a couple of classes, and she's been reading it, taking notes. It's a Socratic dialogue class, so there's a lot of discussion about what they're reading, and this is through our homeschool board. So I totally forgot about it because I don't have to do anything. She just logs on to her class on Zoom once a week, and they chat about what they're reading. She's read the books before. I mean, our cat is named after the author, and I just thought it would be a good thing for her. She'd been wanting to reread the books this fall anyway, so that worked out well. I think that's all for literature. I don't have any like free reads, just for fun reads, etc. on here, which every year previously I've shared a video sharing my whatever grade they're in's free read options, but right now she reads so much on her own that that's okay with me. I'm just gonna go with that. She will also be doing some art. She mostly wants to learn how to draw people, kind of cartoony. She has like a specific thing that she wants. So I think she's mostly going to be using the YouTube channel Drawing with Waffles. That's kind of what she wants to get into, and then maybe some digital drawing as well. And then kind of in the art world, she is taking online guitar lessons as well, so that will just continue. Okay, science. Oh, this one was interesting. We've decided not to do any kind of science curriculum, and each term my kids have picked a subject that they want to study. So for term 1, my oldest is doing astronomy. So I'm just getting books. We have a variety of books throughout the house on the topic, which I didn't actually grab. And I have a couple from the library that I'm not sure if we're going to use. I got Solar System by the Numbers, The Glass Universe, How the Ladies of the Harvard Observatory Took the Measures of the Stars, and this Solar System book by DK. And like I said, we have some other ones. She just wants to learn about the planets, learn about the stars. So I think I'm just going to get her to like make some notebook pages with information on each of the the planets and the moon and the sun and some constellations maybe, or some bigger stars. It's going to be pretty simple, but I know this is how my brain works. Like, read some information, write it down. And I think hers works the same. So I think that will work out perfectly for that. And then kind of transitioning into geography, I've got, my kids are each going to be reading a nature lore / a geography book each term. And the book that I have for her to read first here is a bit of both. It's got a lot of nature stuff. It's got a lot of geography. It's called The 29th Day, and it is about an American teenager that went up to, I can't remember where they started, Northwest Territories. They did I don't remember how long the trip is. It's a hiking and canoeing trip. And on the 29th day, he got mauled by a bear. And it's about the entire journey, and then his people got him back to civilization. I started reading it and really enjoyed it, but just had other books. So I can't say the whole book is good, but the first chapter that I read was like, there was so many information of different birds and different animals and different kinds of trees and like the lakes that they were on. And there was a lot of geography information and nature information. So it's like very much a science and geography type book. That's going to be her book for the first term. And then moving more into geography, I got the Draw the Natural Wonders of Canada and Greenland book. I didn't realize this was going to be so thin. Isn't quite worth $30 in my opinion. Anyway, so I thought we would just kind of focus on Canada to start. I do want the world one eventually, but I want my kids to be working on Canadian geography a little bit more. Something that just hasn't quite stuck yet. So this one, you have different pages. So this one says, draw the west and east coast borders of the United States, then label the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. So this is like the final copy. And then there are pages to photocopy. They also give you the information how to download and print a PDF. And so there's lots of different things, drawing the border of Alaska, the different lakes, and different types of terrain. And there's like information about the country and the different places and different animals. And I feel like this will be really good. It's a good one for us to start with, I think. So yeah, they'll be doing this. She's also going to be spending a little bit of time memorizing the Canadian capitals / trying to cement them in there a little bit better. And then we're going to be using the Cetera app. I think that's what it's called. We've used it in the past. It's a map drills app. So we're going to work specifically with Canadian geography and then also do some world geography. Math is really simple. We are sticking with Learn Math Fast. She'll be on volume 5, which is Algebra 1. I have a review sharing about Learn Math Fast already, so I don't want to go into it in detail. It's kind of on the dry side, but it's effective, it's quick, it's the best thing that my older two have done for math, that they've enjoyed the most, that they've stuck with it. So we're sticking with it. And kind of in that vein / moving into logic, I've got Myrtle. So she started working on this last year. Oh, this one is actually my son's copy. She's been working on her copy for fun all summer long. So these are deduction puzzles. So you've got a story with some clues and suspects and weapons, locations. It's kind of like the game of Clue. And you get to solve who done it, where they done it, and what they done it with. This book, Myrtle, does have some like mature themes / content that I'm not the hugest fan of. I think my oldest is old enough to be able to read it and know what we approve and what we don't. But like for my 7th grader, we did the first section of this, the elementary section, and then this year I'm going to get him doing the Myrtle Junior books, just an FYI. But yeah, she's really enjoyed this. So I didn't realize I didn't have her book here. I'm curious to know how far she is, because she's just doing it for fun. And then also, this is in Logic in I think Ambleside's website, and I found this book in a little free library a couple years ago, so I figured, hey, let's give this a shot. How to Read a Book: The Classic Guide to Intelligent Reading by Mortimer Adler and Charles Van Doren. Yeah, I don't know how to read a book. I want to read this. I started it one time and I got up to page 8, so not very far. Another one I would love to be able to read with her. Not sure that's going to happen, but she will be having a little bit of time each week to read this. And then that might be it. Let me just double check my list here. Yeah, I think that's everything. That's all my resources here. That's at least our kind of focus for the year, especially for the first term. Some of these things will be all year long. Some of them will be specific to term 1. I definitely plan on doing a video for term 2 and then another one for term 3, but I will come back in my next video and share my 7th graders' resources and plan. There's quite a bit of overlap, but also some very different things. I would love to hear if you guys have any book or resource recommendations for any of the topics or things that I mentioned here. I'm always looking for more resources, even though, I mean, we got some great ones, but I always love hearing about other ones. So let me know about all that in the comments.